unless you have a complete meltdown, you're going to get confirmed. And I don't think you will, but, the drama's being created here is interesting. And my Republican colleagues who vote against you, I assure you, could vote for a Hispanic nominee. They just feel unnerved by your speeches and by some of the things that you've said and some of your cases. Now, having said that, I don't know what I'm going to do yet, but I do believe that you, as an advocate with a Puerto Rican Defense Legal Fund, that you took on some cases that I would have loved to have been on the other side. That your organization advocated taxpayer-funded abortion and said in a brief that to deny a poor black woman Medicaid funding for an abortion was equivalent to the Dred Scott case. Now, that's a pretty extreme thing to say, but I think it was heartfelt. I would look at it the other way. To take my taxpayer dollars and provide an abortion to pay for abortion I disagree with is pretty extreme. So there's two ways of looking at that. You were a prosecutor, but the organization argued for the repeal of the death penalty because it was unfairly applied and discriminatory against minorities. Your organization argued for quotas when it came to hiring. I just want my colleagues to understand that there can be no more liberal group, in my opinion, than the Puerto Rican Defense Legal Fund when it came to advocacy. And what I hope is if we ever get a conservative president and they nominate someone who has an equal passion on the other side, that we will not forget this moment. That you could be the NRA General Counsel and still be a good lawyer. My point is I'm not going to hold it against you or the organization for advocating a cause from which I disagree. That makes America a special place. I would have loved to have been in those cases on the other side. I hope that wouldn't have disqualified me. Now, when it comes to your speeches, that is the most troubling thing to me because that gives us an indication when you're able to get outside the courtroom without the robe, an insight into how you think life works. And this wise Latino comment has been talked about a lot, but I can just tell you one thing. If I'd said anything remotely like that, my career would have been over. And that's true of most people here. And you need to understand that, and I look forward to talking with you about that comment. Does that mean that I think that you're racist? You've been called some pretty bad things? No. It just bothers me when somebody wearing a robe takes the robe off and says that their experience makes them better than someone else. I think your experience can add a lot to the court, but I don't think it makes you better than anyone else. Now, when I look at your record, there's a lot of truth to what Senator Schumer said. I don't think you've taken the opportunity on the circuit to be a cause-driven judge. But what we're talking about here today is what will you do when it comes to making policy. And I'm pretty well convinced I know what you're going to do. You're probably going to decide cases differently than I would. So that brings me back to what am I supposed to do knowing that? I don't think anybody here worked harder for Senator McCain than I did, but we lost. And President Obama won. And that ought to matter. It does to me. Now, what standard do I apply? I can assure you that if I applied Senator Obama's standard to your nomination, I wouldn't vote for you. Because the standard that he articulated would make it impossible for anybody with my view of the law and society to vote for someone with your activism and background when it comes to lawyering and judging. And he said something about the 5% of the cases that we're all driven by. He said something to the effect, in those difficult cases, the critical ingredient is supplied by what is in the judge's heart. Well, I have no way of knowing what is in your heart any more than you have knowing what's in my heart. So that, to me, is an absurd, dangerous standard. And maybe something good could come out of these hearings. If we start applying that to nominees, it will ruin the judiciary. I have no idea what's in your heart any more than you have an idea of what's in my heart. And I think it takes us down a very dangerous road as a country when we start doing that.